There can be no compromise with communist terror. Karl Marx attempted to explain human history according to the rules of dialectical materialism. He was a theoretician who interpreted the past in that light and made prophecies about the future. Science and history have revealed that his claims and prophecies were false. Marx promised that the capitalist order would be brought down by a workers' revolution, giving birth to a classless society, yet that never happened. Some 20 years after Marx's death, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin brought forth a horrifying interpretation of Marxism. In Lenin's view, it was impossible for the revolution to happen spontaneously. Lenin invented a militant solution to this problem. The revolution would be carried out, not by the workers, as Marx had predicted, but by the Communist Party, consisting of professional revolutionaries endowed with military discipline, acting in the name of the workers, or the proletariat as they are known in Marxist literature. The Communist Party would carry out the revolution by means of armed struggle and propaganda techniques. From the moment it seized power, a ruthless and harsh regime described by Lenin as the dictatorship of the proletariat would be established. The regime would eliminate the opposition, abolish private property, and enable society to transition to a communist order. Once Lenin launched that theory, hundreds of communist parties or workers' parties dedicated to revolution through bloodshed emerged all over the world. One of these is the Partiya Karkeran Kurdistan, Communist Party of Kurdistan, or the PKK. The hammer and sickle on its banner during the early years of its foundation were a clear sign of the organization's ideology. Although that symbol was removed from the flag for tactical reasons in later years, the PKK has always been a communist organization, and so it will remain. Indeed, the leader of this separatist organization, Abdullah Öcalan, describes the PKK as a Kurdish proletarian revolutionary movement. This is how he describes how the PKK will never compromise on its Marxist-Leninist ideology. The PKK has grown in line with Marxist-Leninist custom. It will clearly be shaped according to that legacy, the parts of which are as inseparable as flesh and nails. Öcalan also says, "What Lenin was in 1900, I am to socialism in the 21st century." He describes the aim behind the founding of the PKK as the building of a communist society. The criteria of socialism and communism prevails in our environment. Everyone is given according to his labor under socialism. That also applies within the party, PKK. This will apply until the foundation of a communist society. Therefore, the aim of the PKK's separatist terrorism is not to win independence and freedom for the Kurds. That is merely a cover for its real aim, a communist revolution. The objective is first to split Turkey apart through a bloody communist revolution, and then to establish a giant communist state in the region. Accordingly, a communist regime will be founded in the west of Turkey with PKK support, and Turkey will be divided into two parts, an eastern communist Turkey and a western communist Turkey. The subsequent aim is to impose communism across the Middle East. This project is being supported and organized by all communist parties and secret states in the world. One of the main characteristics of the communist ideology is that during the process leading up to communism, it will take a step back if necessary, but it will never abandon its idea of revolution, its ultimate objective. It is impossible for a communist to renounce revolution. There can therefore be no question of stopping communist terror through agreements, negotiations, compromise, or concessions. History is full of examples of this. When some people criticize us for our cruelty, we are amazed at how these people can forget even the most basic Marxist principles, said Lenin, who drowned Russia in an ocean of blood before and after building the dictatorship of the proletariat. Mao, who attracted the peasants to his side in his guerrilla war by promising them land and freedom, caused the deaths of some 10 million people and the torture and maiming of hundreds of thousands more, but his followers never renounced their ideology and aims. They sometimes gave the impression of retreating for tactical reasons, hoping that the revolution will take place, and concealed themselves when necessary. They spoke of freedom and peace and negotiation when the occasion demanded, but they never for a moment renounced their true objective, the dictatorship of the proletariat. This fact must therefore not be overlooked in the fight against terror. The PKK is a communist movement and has never renounced the building of a dictatorship of the proletariat by carrying out a communist revolution. It will never renounce that aim in the face of compromise, agreements, negotiations, or concessions. What is needed is scientific activity against the ideology of terror. The exposure with scientific evidence of the invalidity of Darwinism and dialectical materialism, which keeps communist terror alive, and showing people that Marxism, Leninism, and Stalinism have collapsed, will deal a lethal blow to terror. State television and radio, all the media institutions and opinion leaders, writers, speakers, academics, and teachers must abandon all the methods that will never produce results and instead engage in anti-Darwinist, anti-materialist, and anti-communist intellectual activity. When this is done, in other words, when it is made clear with full supporting scientific evidence that Darwinism and materialism have scientifically collapsed, that dialectical materialism is false, that Marxism has no scientific basis, and that communism is intellectually bankrupt. Once the nations of the world are made aware of these facts with love, patience, and affection, communist terror will, by God's leave, become a thing of the past.